Good morning, YouTube. Hey guys, what's going on? So today I thought I'd actually go through what my pre-run warm-up routine is that I do pretty much every day. Some days you're in a bit of a rush and you gotta rush to get out the door to start your run so you have time, but generally I do this almost every day of the week. All these exercises were actually prescribed to me by a trained physical therapist that I went and actually saw. I was having some issues with old nagging injury in my calf, and so I went to them. I was talking to them about my training. They looked at my calf, and then they just looked at other imbalances they could find. And over the course of probably 2 months, we came up with this regiment of exercises for me to do. At first, I was doing 6 by 30 seconds before each time to strengthen those muscles. But now I'm down to just right before I run, I'll do maybe 2 or 1 by 30 seconds. Check in with the muscle, make sure it's there. If it's not, or if it's not 100%, I'll do a little extra to warm it up. But you'll actually notice that these are activation exercises, so I'm actually going to do a lot of holds, and I'll do a little bit of dynamic stretching, very little in between, but I also sometimes throw in some dynamic stretching to get going. Last thing before we get into this video, I just want to preface this is my personally designed warm-up routine, and while I do think a lot of these exercises can be very useful for a multitude of runners, if you have a specific nagging injury or something that you're concerned about, I highly recommend you go see a trained professional. I am not a trained professional. These are just what I've been taught and what I think works best for me. What works best for me might not work best for you though. So again, if you have something you're concerned about, you really should try and talk to your coach, a trained professional of some sort, or a doctor. Yeah, so before we get started, leave a like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below what you think. Thanks. So this first exercise is the Glute Max activation, and so all you need to do is lay down like I am on a bed or a couch somewhere, and then let your one leg hang off the side, and then bring your other foot towards your butt, and this makes sure that your back is completely on the ground, and then you're just going to focus on flexing the single butt cheek that's on the side where your leg is going down. So right now I'm flexing my right one, and then now I'm going to switch over and now I'm doing my left one. And you want to focus on only trying to use your glute muscles. You want to avoid using your hips, quads, or anything around that area. So the next exercise is a hamstring activation, and you can actually start opening up your hip flexor by stretching that out. And then you can see I just lean forward, put my hands on the ground, and then I try and focus on bringing my heel as close to my bottom as possible. You can see it kind of shakes, and that's just normal, the muscle is flexing. And you're just going to try and hold this for a couple seconds, and then you can come back up, stretch your hamstring, and then you see I'll switch to the other side. And actually when you lean forward, you do kind of get a nice stretch in your hamstring too, so you get a little activation and a little stretch to loosen it up. So this third exercise, they're called clamshells. I'm sure you've seen them before. Here I'm just holding the position, but I also go into a dynamic activation, so just repeatedly moving. Here, this exercise focuses on activating the glute medius, so the smaller muscle in your glutes, and it's actually pretty important because the glute medius does not see as much use in running because it's more for lateral movement. So it's really important to get this one strengthened and used before you run. This next exercise is a piriformis interaction, which runs down the side of on the outside of your leg. Here you just see I lay down with a straight leg, put the other leg at a 90-degree angle, and I just twist at my knee to bring my foot up off the ground. So this next exercise is actually a personal favorite of mine, mainly because I've had some issues with my hip flexor in the past. So you'll see I do some knee to chest stretches to warm up, and then on the last one I bring my knee to chest and then let go and try and hold that position, and I do that for usually 20 to 30 seconds. And while I'm doing this, I'm focusing on flexing my hip flexor and trying to avoid using any other muscles and keeping everything else relaxed. I do engage my core a little bit, but that is okay. And so this one's really good for opening up your hips and actually being able to open up your stride. So this next exercise is actually another activation for a hip flexor muscle, the psoas. What I do is I stand up and flat against the wall, and as if I'm about to kick a soccer ball diagonally, I kick out in front of me, and you can actually see how I angle my foot, and I just kind of hold that position. When I'm doing this, you can actually feel the sensation kind of going down from the top of your thigh through to the inner part of it. So this next exercise is the Soleus Activation. So in order to do this, there are two ways actually. You can do what I'm doing, where I squat down against the wall, and it's a little hard to see here, but if I go to a side view, you can see that I'm actually lifting one of my heels at a time up away from the ground and shifting my weight onto that side. Another way to actually do this is if you were to just sit on a couch or a bed like I am doing, and you just lean and put most of your upper weight onto one of your knees, and then just lift your heel up with the one that has the most weight on it, and then you can switch and do the other side. Now these last three exercises do require an exercise band of some kind, and as you can see, what I do is I anchor it to some sort of solid foundation, and then for the Peroneal Activation, all I do is face the anchor, and I pull my toe towards it and I hold that. Next is the Popliteus Activation, I think that's how you pronounce it. And now I'm actually have the anchor 90 degrees to my foot, and I kind of roll my foot inward and pull it away from the anchor as you sit. And last is the Posterior Activation, which is the same sort of position as the last, except now I'm rolling my ankle outward and away from the activation again. So with all that said and done, I am all nice and warmed up now, and I'm going to head out for my run. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.